Hello, I'm Monica Gauci, and this is part of a project that I teach, which is on learning how to heal yourself. As a yogi, an educator, a yoga therapist, and a doctor of chiropractic, my passion is to enable people to be able to heal themselves. So this particular clip is part of a blog that I've written on shoulder pain, which is particularly at the front of the shoulder. And in the blog, we're looking at the different symptoms and ways that you can tell if this is the particular problem that you have, which is where the biceps muscles tendon, which should sit in a bony groove at the front of your shoulder, has actually slipped to the inside and is now over the bony tubercle, the lesser tubercle of your arm bone. So what we're going to do first off is to actually release off those muscles that have caused the tendon to slip, and then we're going to look at how we can actually replace the tendon, and all of this you can do yourself. So first off, the muscles that tend to be too tight or overactive that pull this tendon out are one, your pectoralis minor muscle. And so it actually runs from a bony beak that sticks out here, which is part of your shoulder blade, and it attaches to the upper ribs. So what you need to do if you're having this particular pain is to find any tender spots, and I'd start here where it attaches and just work down onto your first ribs. The pec major, which is a huge muscle, can also sometimes be tight, but this little muscle here tends to be a bit of a troublemaker. So just have a feel around. If you find any tender spots, what you need to do is to hold those spots, and it'll hurt until the tenderness has completely dissipated. What you can also do is befriend the ball, and it needs to be fairly firm, and place it against the muscle and then put the ball up against the wall. And same principle applies, that you want to find any tender spots and then hold the pressure until the tenderness is completely gone. The more thorough you are at doing this, the less likely it is to come back, and at least twice, preferably more times per day. But be gentle. You don't need to hurt yourself intensely to get better results. It's more about the frequency than the intensity. So the other muscle that tends to get quite tight and overactive is the subscapularis muscle. Now, it is one of the rotator cuffs, and it joins onto that lesser tubercle that we just mentioned of the arm bone. So, which is just a bony ridge where muscles attach. So if you have a feel around, if you actually externally rotate your arm and have a feel around and you find a tender spot here, be explorative, don't be afraid to have a good feel, then this is another muscle that you can release off. Another muscle, again an internal rotator, is the front or anterior portion of your deltoid muscle, which is the cap sleeve of muscle that comes over the top of the shoulder. So again, have a feel around. If there are tender spots, release them off completely. Okay, so how do we put the tendon back into its groove if it's slipped out? So if you use your X-ray vision and pretend that this is what you could see, here's the arm bone, here's the long head of the biceps bracchi muscle, which is its tendon, has a little groove between this lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. It's called the bicipital groove or the intertubercular groove. So if it's slipped this way, what we're going to do is to try to slip it back. I'll show you how. So what I'm going to do is try to catch on to the tendon, and as I slip it in this direction, I'm going to move my arm in this direction so it brings the groove closer. So I'm trying to get the tendon and the groove to meet. Now you don't need to be too forceful, but if you have a good sense of tissue, you may be able to even feel that tendon. And for some people, it'll even pop back into its groove. Although there's a ligament that should hold it in place, sometimes that ligament gets a little lax and it can slip. So a few times, and you may feel, especially if it has slipped, that it'll be quite tender on the tendon itself. So you're basically internally rotating as you try to slip the tendon back over. So all the best with that, and don't forget to read the rest of the blog so that you can also see the exercises that you need to do in order to strengthen those muscles that have been inhibited by these dominating muscles. Always with you on the mat. Namaste.